Hello, I'm Kirsten Orchard from Studio Orchard here in Hedgeley near Beaconsfield, and I am giving you today a short practice and actually a seated practice for seed wellness in this period of isolation that we are all in, 2020, spring 2020. And what you need is a stool. You also could do with a block if you have one and a strap. If you don't have one, you don't need it. It's okay, you can use your hands. But if you have a yoga strap and you have a block, it will come in handy. Okay, so please find yourself your stool and come and sit down on your stool. Come and take a comfortable seat. The definition of the word asana, yoga asana, is a comfortable seat. So, the first thing I would say is take a moment to find your feet for this comfortable seat. So you lift the toes up, maybe the toes come off the floor, the heels dig into the floor. You stretch open the soles of the feet and the toes, and you find your feet in the ground. You connect, you press into the ground, and this enables you to lengthen a little bit upwards out of the spine, up out the spine and out the crown of the head. So rather than, when people sit on a chair and they're there for a long time, they may end up collapsing into gravity, crossing legs, slumping in the lower back. We don't want that kind of sitting. You want to find your feet, find your seat, which includes the sit bones and the thigh bones, and they go downwards. They kind of connect as if they're being drawn magnetically into the ground and into the seat. And that downwards action actually lifts you upwards through the spine and out through the crown of the head. The chin slightly draws back, or maybe you think about it from the cheekbones. So the head slightly draws back. We do tend to be quite forwards tilting in our head. This is our kind of desperation for moving forwards in life. This is the opportunity, and hope we know it, of leaning into the space behind you, of literally taking a step back, a period of non-hurrying. So first and foremost, you broaden, and you can indicate this with your hands. So if I show you from the back, you can broaden the sacrum. You broaden the middle back, the diaphragm area. You broaden the shoulder blades, and you even broaden the back of the head. You find that connection of downwards through the thighs, through the feet, through the sit bones, which helps you lengthen upwards through the sides of the body, through the length of the spine and the crown of the head. From here, we start with some breathing. So you're going to add in a little bit of movement too. So the hands draw in towards the hip crease. Maybe it's easier if I show you this sideways. So the hands draw in towards the hips. The shoulders squeeze back. You squeeze the shoulder blades towards the spine. And then you stretch the other way. Now this includes a curl. So you scoop the core back, so you're in a cat spine, a bit like cat-cow. And you're stretching the arms forwards, and you're stretching the thigh bones forwards, and you're scooping the core back, scooping the sternum back. You move between the two. You draw in to sit up on top of the sit bones, and then you lift the chest. Think of this more as an upper back bend opening, rather than too much in the lower back. Squeezing the shoulder blades towards the spine, and the collarbones are broad at the front. And then you go between the two. You lift as you curl, so you're using your feet to scoop the core up and back, stretching the shoulder blades apart. Try and keep the shoulders down away from the ears. Notice that a lot of this is done through the feet. So you draw in, squeezing in, lifting the chest, keep the back of the neck quite long, so don't throw the head back. And then exhale, scooping core up, scooping sternum kind of back to stretch the skin of the shoulder blades, between the shoulder blades. Moving between the two. Dragging the feet in, breathing in. Feel the breath rise up into the arch. then move out into the curl. You're going to have mouth open so that you can hear the quality of your breath and my breath. You move and breathe as slowly as you can in this. Finding the lift up from the rooting down, and even the exhale is coming from the push down and the pull in and up with the core. So the base is always your focus. You go down to go up. The movements kind of begin in the base or in the feet of the pose. And that guides you with the breath into the opening. It's a bit like a wave, opening and closing. Even though it's closing the front, it's opening the back. This one, as you lift up, is closing the back and opening the front. The exhale curl is scooping the core back, scooping the sternum back, and stretching the back. 2 more times, breathing in. Rooting the feet down, lifting the chest up, squeezing the shoulders towards each other. Exhale, spreading the shoulder blades apart, shoulders down away from the ears, scooping the core back, scooping the sternum back. And then you come back to your neutral, which is kind of like a Tadasana, but seated. Then you just tune in to the stillness, noticing if there's any shift in how you feel in your physical body, in your breathing, and maybe even in your headspace. Okay. From there, we're going to add in some arms. So think of this as a sun salutation, seated. So you turn, the arms externally rotate. Be careful as you do this that you don't shift the weight forwards and sit in the lower back. So stay spread in the back space and spin the arms outwards, tractioning them out. Keep the shoulders rooting down or releasing down as the feet connect down and the arms and the sides of the body reach up. You bring the arms up close in line with the shoulders, and then you turn the direction of the arms and you spin outwards. So it's a sort of external and internal rotation of the arms, rooting down through the feet, through the thighs, through the sit bones as you reach up. And exhale, pushing down. Imagine you are pushing through water. It's almost like there's resistance. And the arms reach outwards. The front ribs slightly drop down as you extend the chest and the arms up. And as you exhale, the arms come down. Okay, and then from there you take your legs wider. I'm just going to take this one. You sit in a wide second position. You lean one side, resting the forearm on the thigh. This starts to give you a little bit of a stretch on this side, which you can then add an arm to. There's definitely this feeling of upwards, which comes from the push downwards, through both feet, through both sit bones, through the thigh bone, through this elbow on the thigh. Find the down, and you will get the up. And then to come out of it, use the legs, use the feet, the connection of the feet and the floor to shift you from place to place. And you're over to the other side. You have a little rest of the forearm. You root down through the feet, through the sit bones, and you add the arm reaching up, feeling as though you're rising upwards from the push downwards. This puts a stretch on the ribcage, which you then add conscious breathing to, which increases the stretch. When you're ready to come out, you push through the feet and you sit up. You might notice already in the middle you have more sense of center, more balance through the right and the left side. Go for it a second time. Shifting, leaning. Then you don't collapse into the shoulder, you want to lift out of that by pushing down and lift out. You add the arm, but this time the arm is going to come further across. It's going to turn from the little finger, so once again external rotation of the arm. And you reach the arm over the head. You keep reaching through the opposite leg and foot and sit bone and thigh. The chin draws in slightly so that you don't end up looking ahead to look at the screen. Try and follow my voice instead of the visual. And then from there, the feet press down and the body lifts up. And you come back to the middle. Same on the other side. There's a shift. A lean in and a lift out. Rising that arm up, drawing the throat back, the chin back. Spin from the little finger. The shoulder tries to stay down, even though the armpit stretches and the side reaches. Chin down, face. Slight downwards look through the eyes. You're rooting through the opposite foot, through the opposite sit bone. I mean both sides, but especially the opposite side. And then you press down and you come up. You bring the feet, toe heel the feet back to neutral. I'm going to use a little bit more height. And then we add in a little twist. So we did side bend, we did arch, which is your extension. We did flexion, which is your curl. We did side bend and side bend. And now we need twist, so that we go through all the spinal motions. So the twist is like your hands help indicate which way you're going. So when you're turning this way, you draw that thigh in and reach the other thigh out and have a look behind you. There's definitely a little bit of work in the feet too, so there's a sort of de-rotate. There's a drawing in of the hand that's drawing in. That heel feels like it draws in towards the sit bone and the other leg reaches out. And this helps you create a spiral or a twist. And I suggest you do the breath in on the turning into the twist and the breath out on the de-rotate. And as you rotate around, you want to lengthen always. Any rotation in the spine needs to be done on the long spine and the tall spine. I've got a tighter side this side, so I might use a little bit of hand opposition to get that cross twist, to get that oppositional pull. You also don't want to be on the front of your sit bones into your lower back. You need to be staying on top of those sit bones. Let's add to this twist. You cross the arm, one arm across, and this time you're going to add the other arm. Now it reaches forwards and then up. It's a bit like a spiral. And you have a look towards that diagonal arm up above you, shoulder down. Use this arm to prop you up, and the legs, and the hamstrings a little bit. Then you lift and turn. Stay in the twist and counter-rotate the head. And then go back with the head and bring the arm back. Same on the other side. You cross the arm over, you sit up nice and tall. You reach this arm and the chest forwards, and you circle around, or you spiral upwards. Keep making sure that you're not sitting in the lower back, so the weight is possibly feeling like it's a little far back, but it's just on top. And there's that stretch. This is more intense for me on this side. You look away from the twist, and then you look back and you go and pick up the arm. You let the arms hang down, and you notice how you feel in the breathing, in your sense of center, in the length of your sides, and the space in your spine. And maybe also the space in your head. Moving on with this idea of a twist, you end up with one hand, two heels of the hands, they press together. They create this kind of oppositional push. The elbows are, well, the hands, let's say, are roughly in line with your breastbone. So not too high, and that might make the shoulders lift and you back bend. You want to be sort of in control. It's a bit like a dance position. Now, you're pushing the hand against the hand, and that creates a sort of stability. And you turn, the sort of horizontal spirals, if that makes any sense. You're turning, push, push, turn. Then you change. You spin on the fingers, and you come around this way. And all the way around, you spin, and the tension is consistent. So you really need to be creating this push, push, push constantly that never gets, the power doesn't get lost in it. There's a continuity to the pressure. So these are sort of shoulder level circles or spirals. And this really gets into the thoracic spine, the mid to upper spine. Crucially, we want to try to keep the hips pretty still. I'm not saying they're completely rigid, but they are pretty still. And the turning is through the rib cage, the spine, using the obliques. There's definitely quite a lot of work through the legs as well, because the more I push the legs down into the floor, the easier it is for me to sit up a little bit taller. These are side to side, and then it goes into diving. Now here you've got a curl, so you dive down, it's a bit like canoeing. You change the arm, and you come through. And you change the arm overhead, come through. Spin, it's a little tricky, keep pressing heel of hand against heel of hand. The elbow reaches up, a bit like a front crawl in a sense. Overhead, but not such a long arm. Quite tricky. Up and over and across. 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 Let's have one more. Exhale on the effort. Inhale on the left. Exhale on the effort. Inhale on the left. And then release. Shake it out. And let things settle. Feel the sensation in the arms and in the body, this kind of tingles, blood flow, dharana, life force. And yet this kind of buzziness can really help find a seated stability, center, that is very nice. Let's do a little bit with the legs. So you curl backwards. So when you curl, you lift into the curl. So it's what's called a lifted curl. You stretch one leg forwards. You're going to bring this leg, actually, let's do the hamstring stretch first. So you point the foot, you scoop the core back. Then you sit up. And how do you sit up? You press through your foot. You sit up on top of your sit bones. You dig the heel into the ground. You're now on top of your sit bones in a kind of Tadasana spine. You shift the weight forward so you're in a dog tilt. The chin is down, so the back of the neck is long. You're folding over with length at the front, length at the sides, length at the back. It's a hamstring stretch. You decide how far. You don't need to go a long way. You want to just draw the thigh bone into the socket of the hip. Dig the heel into the ground. It's almost like a wheel. Everything has a kind of wheel in it, or a wave in it, a circular, continuous flow. Partly coming from the breath, and partly coming from this presence that you bring the simplest of things to. From there, you lift the weight back up by pushing the foot down. You're going to bring that leg up, cross it over the knee or the ankle, and sit up on top of your sit bones. Again, you shift the weight forwards. This time you're coming into a figure four, a hip opener. And you come into a little hip opener, keeping the hips square, the foot on the ground, firmly in the ground. The back of the neck long, the front of the body long, not shrinking, elongating, long spine. You shift back, and you undo that, and you're ready for the other side. Scooping back in a curl, lifting the core to curl. Send the leg forwards. Sit up on top of your sit bones by pushing the down foot down into the floor. Dragging the thigh bones so that you can lift up and over into the hamstring stretch. Throat back, back of the neck long. Front of the body long. This is where people always fall down. The front spine needs to be long too, not just the back spine. You can put pressure into the legs, squeezing them in towards each other, pushing them down. You could squeeze the hips in towards each other to deepen it. You could suck the thigh back more, dig the foot in more. Then you shift. You scoop back, the leg comes off the floor. Lift up, cross, up on top of the sit bones. Slightly forwards, this is a tighter side for me. Folding over. You're looking for an outer hip stretch at the side of the buttock. Possibly a hamstring stretch, it depends on you. Outer hip mainly. Steady breath. Taking your time. Finding a real presence with following the breath and softening into the pose. Letting the pose take its time. breath is really helpful for that. And then you're back to your Tadasana. To be able to tune in, close your eyes so that you take the outer sight into more insight. Once again, feel the spread in the back of the head, in the sacrum, in the middle of the body. Feel the breath as you expand on the inhale. Feel how the ribs broaden at the back and the sides of the body. It's like a back to front kind of breathing. Quite a change. When you open the eyes, you're going to be coming into Utkatasana, into chair pose. So I brought my feet in just a touch. This is a very small shift. So if you're on your sit bones here, there's a slight shift forwards. You want to create a lift off without a big bump and a sit down without a big bump. I'm adding the spiral of the arms, keeping the front ribs softening in, the shoulders down away from the ears. And then you get to the point where you have lift off. Lower back is long, but with a natural curve. Back of the neck is long. Shoulders are down, sides of the body are long. You shift the weight back and you take a very quiet seat. And you sit back into your Tadasana seated. Going again. Middle fingers spin through. Weight starts to shift forwards through the feet, through the sit bone. There's a moment of lift off. The lower back, especially if you tend to overarch the lower back, lengthen it down. Breathe here. Steady, fierce pose. And then slowly you sit down. Got one more. Spin from the little fingers. Shift the weight through to the fronts of the sit bones, towards the fronts of the feet. Lift off. Lengthening lower back long. Back of the neck long. This time you're going to rise all the way up. Pressing the feet down, lifting the legs up, lifting the arms up, keeping the front ribs in. And then from there, stretch the arms down. And now you are in Tadasana, mountain pose. Standing with the feet hip distance apart, with the arms by your sides. With your eyes closed and a real sense of center line. Spreading into the back body, spreading into the soles of the feet, spreading into the crown of the head. So see if you can feel this. You release the weight down through the feet, deep into the core of the earth. And from there, almost like the roots of a tree, there's a sense of lightness lifting, rushing up the central channel, the kind of trunk, and reaching like a fountain out of the crown of the head. The breath is slow and steady. There's a widening on the inhale outwards and a softening inwards on the exhale. This kind of balance of opposites in life. As you breathe in, there's expanding out. As you breathe out, there's narrowing in. Perfect opposition, always. And then from there, just the last little bit, you spread open the soles of your foot as if they are really sentient, really able to feel. And you draw energy, nourishment, hydration up from the earth. You feel it traveling up through the central channel. And then you bring your hands to the top of your head. It's almost like you have a sunroof or you cut a boiled egg and you take the top off. Just tap on the top of your head and blink your eyes and open up this top channel, this exit point for Sushumna. And then release and let the arms come down. But feel that energy rising up through the crown of the head, up towards the sky, into the sky. And yet you feel your feet firmly on the ground. You feel the space all around you, to the sides of you, in your peripheral vision, but more importantly, behind you, filling in the gaps. From there, you open the eyes. You just lift and lower the heels, so you kind of shake out any tension. Drop, 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 drop. Arms come up, final time, breathe in. And come down the middle, breathe out. Forehead, Third eye space, you rest your base of your thumbs. Breathe into the back of the body. Bring the hands down to the mouth. And then the hands down to the heart space. Slight bow of the chin, and yet the chest lifts up into the hands. You release the fingers down. And there we are. Thank you. Namaste.